Hey, hello, and welcome back to another episode. I'm Matt.
And I am Ez, and friends, we are here with our The Death of Superman chat, friends.
Yeah. Wow. As here's the deal. I have always been, and I've said in this podcast before, I am a lifelong Batman fan.
Yep.
Ez is a lifelong Superman fan. We've had many discussions, heated
Yeah.
back and forth on who's better and all this stuff. But I think we've ultimately come to the realization that we just love both at this point. I
Well,
just love
yeah.
Batman. The more I learn about Superman, the more I really enjoy his character.
Well, same here. And I love that new Batman movie that just came out, and it's got me so hyped, about DC and comics and the whole story and what they could do and the potential that is there. I learned something very interesting, actually. The reason Superman and Batman they have this sort of back and forth in terms of like popularity or whatever for years it was like Superman followed by Batman, but like it's actually Batman in this arc and some of the stuff that goes on with Batman that will bring Superman back into the popularity sort of mainstream. That's where it's at. It's a partnership, man.
Oh, it is. Well, the fact of the matter is that it's like they're the best. And then you move to the Trinity where you have Wonder Woman as well. And it's like the rest of the Justice League and everything. And let's preface this by saying we are comic noobs.
Yes, big time.
We've really begun sort of diving in to comics, like as a whole.
Right.
I've read quite a bit of, I shouldn't say quite a bit of Batman because there's, like almost 100 years of Batman at this point, but I have read some of the bigger Batman things like Year One, Long Halloween, Hush, a lot, the New 52, read the whole thing. So I've read like a decent amount. I've definitely read a decent amount of, of Batman, but now just like, what, let's dive into Superman because I wanted Des to get into it. And we said, where are we going to start? And I was like, the one that's always intrigued me the most is the death and return of Superman. It's what,
right.
Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Batman vs Superman. That's the arc they go with. Why am I've always been intrigued with it? Because of this guy right here, the black suit.
Yeah.
I always just not really knowing anything about it, but just always seeing it. It was like, that's just where I guess I want to start is with the black suit because it's always intrigued me.
Yeah, for sure. To learn about that, I mean, that's sort of the biggest thing. It's like you have Superman who seems invincible. Like when we start this comic, everyone's like, he's got it. He's got it. It's in the bag. But it's like, no, hold on a second. Like, he doesn't have it. Nobody else has it. I mean, it's bad. And so I was doing some research just on like the history of this and how this kind of came to be. During the time of like I think it was like the Adventures of Lois and Clark were coming out, and they're like
Right.
they're like looking quite a a few years ahead. They're looking at the next year, saying, "Hey, what are we going to write?" They were talking about doing a Lois
Movie.
and
Oh, so
Clark.
good.
Yeah. Like, they were going to have Clark and Lois actually get married in the comics. Well, they had this idea going for a while, and then it's Dean Cain. Good God, comes out there, and it's actually something that they like the idea so much that they shift it to the show. And so Matt, they had all this stuff kind of like written, and they're thinking, okay, hey, we're gonna go with this. We've never done it. We've never just married them and said, let's just have at it. That was their big arc. And then the Adventures of Lois and Clark take place, and they're like, it's just gonna make more money. It's a better idea. We need it over here. And I don't know how that all shook out exactly with the networks and stuff, but it was a discussion that happened. And I guess at the end of their meetings, when they would joke around about like where to go with Superman, from time to time they would say, "Let's just kill him. At some point, let's just kill him. Let's just." And it was always a joke until they had nothing else to do, and they're like, "You know what? Let's do it, and let's do it in a way that is just like badass." And they do. It is kind of unbelievable, and the way the story emerges and stuff, it's like it starts off and it so hits you in the gut that it feels real. And I've always appreciated DC Comics for this because of the reality to it. If there really were superheroes and this guy shows up, there's no time to go into backstory on what happens or where he's from
Right.
or any of that crap.
Yeah.
He's
No,
loose.
it's crazy. And so, yeah, and we're going to dive into it in a second. But ultimately, this whole arc is the death and return of Superman. So Superman dies. I mean, spoiler.
Dead.
It's called the death of Superman. He dies. It's crazy. And we'll get into one of the reasons I actually really, now that I've read it, I really liked it a lot. And actually, because I've seen, obviously this is used in Batman vs Superman, and it's used. There's a few animated ones which I just watched. Which is one of them I just watched last night. Is part of the big like DC extended animated universe, that 14 movie arc. And same thing, Superman fights Doomsday and dies. Now I played the game too. There was an old game for like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and you get a little brief bit of the story. And part of the reason I love this arc so much is because then you get and we're not there yet, but we will get to it. This whole thing is 5 volumes. By the way, have all of them. And the cool thing is, if you get them and you line them all up, it ends up having this cool like S on the side, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure I think actually they're re-releasing this year an omnibus version.
Okay.
Now I don't know. I just picked this up. Do I need a hardcover 1 volume omnibus for like $135? Maybe. We'll see. Okay. But nonetheless, one of the next things that comes out of this is the 4 Supermen. So like when Superman dies, and I sort of know some of the story, but I'm not there yet in the comics because we only did volume 1.
Right.
The volumes are, by the way, volume 1, The Death of Superman, volume 2, Funeral for a Friend, volume 3, Reign of the Supermen. So this is where you have like Eradicator, who I've always just looked at and thought was cool because he's like this Superman, and he's got these like super awesome like yellow, very 90s, like big sunglasses going on. Superboy, Cyborg Superman, and then Steel. Remember? There was a movie. With Shaq.
Shaq, baby. Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
90s. So it could not be more 90s. But so you have those guys show up, and then Superman comes back with the black suit. So it's this whole arc has intrigued me very much. And is this the best Superman place to start in the whole thing of Superman? Probably not. The only other Superman I've ever read is you and I both read, I think, Superman Earth 1, which is like sort of a different telling of Superman. It was good, but anyway, for whatever reason, we're starting here because I kind of feel like in comics, you just start where you want, and then it's a web. Like it's not so much a timeline as it is a web. So you just got to jump and go.
Well, Matt, to that point, I actually in starting here, I said, okay, as I got through volume 1, I was like, now let me go back a bit and learn, because it does. You start to, okay, let me stretch back a little bit, like not to the beginning of all comics, right? It's like you went back to the next crisis, and you say, okay, from that crisis, what happened, what went down, Crisis on Infinite Earth, and then kind of move forward just a little bit, because that's what I want. I wanted some of that context, but I had to get into the story. And the moment I see the Justice Leaguers showing up, because I'd only ever seen the animated, version. And I mean, I had picked some of these up at the store and leafed through them, not really paying that much attention to it. But I just, as I read the first one and then I got into the second one, it was really the second one. It was Booster Gold. And I was like, hold on a second. And I thought back to my Smallville roots and how much I enjoy Smallville and him being in there. And that's, I was like, this is cool. Okay, let's get into this more. So you're right. It's kind of a web where you stretch out and just sort of learn more about what happened in in these arcs.
Mine here. Yeah. I mean, so down for the count.
Yeah, down for the count. Maxima there. I mean, just awesome. And then going back into, and what we'll do in the future, I guess, as these characters come up, is we'll kind of dive into some of them. Some of them are lesser known and some of them are very well known, but it's like the ones that are really well known are in film, right? They're in TV shows and stuff like that. So if they don't really get to that level, it's,
I will say, and maybe this is just, I don't do that. Maybe because for those of you guys listening to the podcast, we're doing this on YouTube as well. There's just something about it, and I don't know what it is, but it's probably just that we're a product of this time.
Yeah.
The 90s comic style, I just like it more.
I do too.
Than the current. Not that like current comics are gorgeous and everything, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about it where I just like it.
It's grain. It's a little bit grainier. There's more shading and blacks and stuff. And it's like, it almost feels a little bit like aged, but yet still real clean and crisp. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
like something like this right here, I feel like I don't see in many modern comics anymore, which is like how much they use the white of
oh,
pages
sure. Yeah.
to like have something like that. And so again, we're comic newbies. So, for those of you guys who are coming in here, be like, you guys have no idea what to talk about. That's what
True.
we're here for. We're here to be
Right.
guided. Let us
Yeah.
know what we should be reading next. But so
Yep.
nonetheless, I've always just also loved, man, this cover right here, the death of Superman, and it's got like the cape. It's just so cool. But then you start going, and I love the S. I'm actually wearing it. The
Yeah.
red,
Yeah.
black on red S, and it's like it's bleeding, man. But
Yep.
we get going here, and Doomsday. It's one of the things I love about this comic, having read it start to finish. And this is a total spoiler, obviously. I mean, it's like quite old, but
Right.
as is that this whole thing is like one day. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
he comes out of nowhere. The
Right.
next thing you know, Superman is fighting this guy, and it's like, I don't know if he's gonna make it, and Superman dies. And it's like, so it's like in one day, everything totally changed. It's not like a huge build-up arc. Now it becomes a big arc, but it's just out of nowhere. Here comes this guy Doomsday. Nobody knows anything about him, and the next thing you know, Superman is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one by one, these guys like the Justice Leaguers there. I mean, he's taken care of some like underground, situation. Lois is out doing something. Jimmy Olsen is starring on some freaking show as a turtle
Oh
boy,
yeah.
you know. But so it's a normal day, right? It sets up sort of what would be this normal time, and all along the way here, you see just destruction. You see, in reading about this, it's like Doomsday was meant to be the complete opposite of Superman. I mean, he's just
Mhm.
Superman cares so much, wants to do the right thing, and Doomsday literally just it doesn't matter what it is. It's just merciless killing. It's just if it's a life form, he'll kill it.
Yeah.
There's no restraint, no restraint
I
whatsoever.
know. I love, and I just had it up there. That they like want to show you immediately, and I'll pull it back up. How like evil Doomsday is, but he just like kills a bird,
Yeah,
and like
right.
later he like just chokes out a deer. It's like what? Like what?
I dude. I said there's some pretty aggressive hand gestures in this. Like he has, who was it? He has several of the Justice Leaguers like by the throat and
Hmm.
by the like head, like hair of the head, like just shoving their neck back, and you're like, that would looks like you just broke them in half, and it's bad, real bad.
Yeah. So Superman is kind of here in the early stages. He's dealing with um Closter and some of these.
Right.
Yeah, like so some of these guys, and then ultimately he ends up going on a talk show while the rest of the Justice League's getting like sort of taken care of. But the cool thing is and I love how they set it up, as he's talking about like kind of the importance of like the Justice League and who he is and all of this stuff and always doing the right thing. And then this
Mhm.
thing just sort of like it's what I love about it, is it just sort of escalates, and it's like one afternoon it's like, man, things just go from like fine to like can't even begin to imagine, because you know what, that's life, like that happens.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes out of nowhere people like, I mean, it's incredibly unfortunate, car wreck, whatever. It's like somebody dies and like life immediate, like you're never expecting it, and life just immediately changes for everybody. So actually one of the things I really really loved about this comic, even though this is pretty action heavy, I mean there's not really a ton of like dialogue, not that all graphic novels have that or not, but I mean, it's pretty just like, man, Doomsday shows up, everyone's wrecking everyone, and then Superman's dead.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, and it's like, yeah, there could be a terrorist attack or some strike or something. You're just going about your day, and what would that feel like? And this kind of captures that for the Justice Leaguers, for the superheroes, and for Superman. Like you said, he's on the show talking about different stuff, and they're even like going in on that talk show talking about Guy Gardner and like the
Mhm.
fights that have been happening between he and Superman and what's going on there. So then I'm instantly scratching my head, said, "All right, I got to go back and check into that a little bit."
Right.
And look into how strong-willed this guy is. The other thing, and I don't know if this is just a '90s, I know comics are a little bit more edgy than some of the animated stuff that I'm used to, except for DC animation. DC animation is like some of their movies are rated
Oh,
R.
they're really oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're really good.
Wild, wild.
I know
Um,
I was watching it with, Teresa, my fiance, yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, I need to watch this thing," and so she's, like, on her computer doing something, And she was even like, wow, this is like really good, like
Right.
watching it. And she's not the kind of person who would ever, like watch that. And then at one point, Lex Luthor called Doomsday. And again, that's a different telling of this story, by the
Absolutely.
way.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same elements are there. But anyway, Lex Luthor calls Doomsday like, I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch. She's like, is this a cartoon? It's
What?
like,
Yeah, I know.
whoa.
I know. I know, it's wild. I actually like both. I want to mention too, I know we're covering the comic right now, but I do like the animated movie that they did. That was really good.
Did you watch
So,
that one, The Death of
yeah.
Superman?
hmm
Okay, so that's the newer one. Because then there's Superman Doomsday.
Oh wait, maybe that's the one I watched. Superman
See, I
Doomsday.
think we watched the opposite ones, because
Okay.
Doomsday is like its own thing, and it was like probably like 2008, I think. And
Okay.
then this one is part of the whole DC thing. This is
Oh,
probably like 2016 or something.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, because in mine, I mean, it's like they end up getting the, low. Superman's got to get the freaking kryptonite cannon from the Fortress of Solitude.
Totally different. Yeah, totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to go
I
back.
want to watch that one. I'm gonna watch that one too.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty good. Um, but yeah, a couple things I want to mention here in the beginning though, as we get into this. So like the Blue Beetle gets is the first one to get wrecked,
get
right? I
wrecked.
mean, absolutely get wrecked. I mean, so they're all falling out, and then you have sort of a realistic kind of team situation where they're like, okay, we have people in free fall because their vehicle is shot down, and you have Guy Gardner going in to catch, I think it's Ice, and feels good to get my hands on you again, babe. Uh,
Oh, I know.
it's like what? Uh, what super doof got that I don't? And she's like, class, right? So everybody's grabbing everybody and trying to. And then there's some kid who shows up and he sees these super, heroes show up. He's like, wow, check out those babes, and it's
I
just got
know.
this, it's
I
got this
know.
old tone to it that you're like, what? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is definitely a product of the 90s too.
Yeah, yeah, big time. So anyway, but yeah, so we have them all kind of in free fall. They're getting caught. Like those who can fly will, zip down and kind of catch the other one. And then you've got like Bloodwind who
Mhm.
shows up, and I was like, who? For
Right.
a
I
second.
know.
I had to go look him up, and I like look up all his
Mhm.
powers and everything. Super mysterious, and we're actually at a good like where we picked up here is they're kind of seeing you're like the Justice Leaguers are learning more about him as we go. So I think we'll kind of talk about him as we learn about him in the future because he's super interesting, and even Superman is a little like, what's up with this guy?
Right. Well, yeah, and so then Supergirl is gonna appear too, but I mean, I guess like, and we're not there yet. And again, we're comic noobs, so I'm sure maybe we'll get more into it when we get to Funeral for a Friend, which is the second one, because like Batman and Wonder Woman, obviously, and like Aquaman, pretty much everyone's on the cover of it. But like, where were they at?
Where were they?
Where were they at? Okay, because and again, we're this is a comic. The comic is what we're mainly talking about, but this has been this arc is obviously so important that it's been done several times, right?
Mhm.
It's been remade. So in the movie I watched, which is The Death of Superman, which is a newer retelling of the story, I mean, I mean, Batman is there, Wonder Woman is there, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and he wrecks all of them. And guess who does the best against him? Which is, of course, like so ridiculous, but I love it. I mean, he goes in and he literally wrecks Green Lantern, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and like the one person who does the best against him besides Superman is Batman.
Let's go.
Wow, I don't know, I
Let's
love
go.
it.
Oh,
The
that's
Flash, dude. He beats. It's like he beats out the Flash. So ridiculous, but I love it.
yeah, no, that's actually really cool. Um, yeah, so a couple interesting points here. You have in this some sort of Superman centric like superheroes that kind of show up with him and around him, like Maxima. I didn't really quite know that like she's seeking that mate, right? One who's worthy of her, and she's super after Superman and definitely wants him, and she's just warrior like, you know. And you had like fire and ice as well. And I was thinking back to because I watched a lot of the Flash.
Starfire
Starfire.
was who
Okay.
I was. Well, no. I thought Fire was Starfire, but I think it's not. I think it's its own character.
Yeah. And so Ice was, from what I knew, um, related more to Flash. And so it's interesting
Okay.
to see how these characters are related to the kind of the. I mean, some of them are C level, B level,
Right.
superheroes in this. I mean, it's the Blue Beetle's in here. Like, what was he doing even in the
I
fight? I mean,
I think the Blue Beetle is getting like an HBO Max movie or something.
what?
I think there's
I
a
mean,
Blue Beetle like thing in development.
but that would be cool because I think it's like seeing his little Beetlemobile and like everything that he's rolling around. And I'm like, what is he doing? Um,
I don't really know much about the Blue Beetle. Is he like pretty powerful? Is he
I didn't think so because he got. I mean, they were like, he's dead. They thought he was dead. You know, and it's like
he has an armored suit, flight, enhanced strength. Yeah, so I mean maybe he's I don't know. He's clearly not Superman powerful.
right, right. The one that was interesting, and so like, yeah, it's like Ice is trying to get Maxima to save him, and like I guess she owes Ice one, so she decides, yeah, sure, I mean, I'll go ahead and save him or whatever. But while they're fighting, and Doomsday just kind of rolls on after he kills somebody. He just
Right.
rolls. I mean, like they just leaves him there, whether they're dead or not. He doesn't really care. He's just moving on, which almost gives him kind of a breather and works for the comic really well, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but Booster Gold with his like force field and everything, he gets wrecked.
I know. And right here's the big this was the big one for me was Guy Gardner.
Yeah, that's true.
Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, because now again, the Green Lantern is something Green Lantern in general is something I'm slowly I mean right here. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's like Doomsday is just wrecking everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
But like one of the things, and with the Green Lanterns, it's one of these things where I feel like everyone who has a favorite sort of makes an argument for their Green Lantern being the best. So like I guess the main Green Lantern, even though it's not the original, is Hal Jordan, right? That's sort of like
yeah.
when people think of the Green Lantern, I would say he is who they think of first. Then the Green Lantern I like the most is Jonathan Stewart. I guess without trying to say he's the Black Green Lantern. Like
Yeah.
he was
Mhm.
he was a big deal in the 90s. They sort of turned to him. But then there's this Guy Gardner, who's one I would guess I've heard of him before, but I guess I was a little unfamiliar with him. But some people argue that he is one of, if not the best Green Lantern, because he's kind of like a jerk and whatever. But at the end of the day, no matter how sort of like arrogant he is, I guess like that's kind of his thing. He's kind of an arrogant like prick sometimes.
Right, right.
But the ring chose him.
That's true.
The ring chooses you.
Yeah. Yep. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And like, why? You know, it's that willpower. It's it's your destiny. It's awesome. That okay. So a couple other things here that were really cool. I was looking up, by the way, Booster Gold, and just to give you guys some background, anybody who is new to this, because we are, and so we always Matt and I always we always try to like make everybody feel super comfortable in terms of like where you're coming in, whether it's a fandom that we know a lot about or that we
Right.
don't, doesn't really matter. We want people to enjoy these things and get hyped about them. So for me, like Booster Gold was really cool, and I was like, he's a joke in Smallville. So I was like, how is he? I mean, he
When does
comes
he
in.
he must show up later in like
Yeah,
because
let me see.
I've watched up through season I think 7 of Smallville. Right
Yeah.
once like Supergirl shows up and she just started being important. It's all the further
Well,
I ever got into Smallville.
now hold on a second. Maybe
So
it's
I
not
didn't do
Smallville.
like Justice Society of America stuff when like Dr. Fate shows up and
Yeah, let me see. Live action. Yeah, he appears in Smallville episode Booster with Booster Gold portrayed by this guy. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't say the actual episode here or anything, but I can't remember. I'll have to look up and see what episode that is. But yeah, he shows up and he's just kind of a fraud. You find out he's more of a showboating guy who he doesn't really have superpowers. He actually stole an artifact from the future and he's time traveled back and he's got like a force
so
shield
there's a
and
lot.
yeah, it's a cool element, and he comes back to the Justice League, and he really helps out. Like he's athletic and everything, but he has a lot of equipment that is futuristic, that helps him. You know, I
Yeah, I
don't
mean
think it
right
makes
here
him any
this panel's pretty sweet, especially if you like the birds in the background too. It's like I hear
right.
you people are having some trouble. Trouble isn't the word, Superman. I'm telling you right now, it's like Doomsday is here.
Yeah,
Well, Superman's here.
that's right. That's right. I mean, look how
Look how
beautiful.
sweet he looks. It looks awesome.
Jiminy. Good God. But yeah, this is everybody hits him. So in the next one, it's like everybody gets together, right? I think Guy Gardner's like there's a funny moment where he's got his ring out. He's like, point my ring in the right direction, right? He can't even
Right, because
see
he
because
can't see.
yeah,
He
his
can't see
eyes are
because his face is
swollen
checked out.
shut.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Maximo was a character I was totally different. See, it's like when it comes DC for me, it's like I really know Batman and I really know
yeah,
like the Bat. So once
yeah,
you start stepping outside of like Mr. Freeze and the Penguin, I'm like, I don't know.
right, right.
Like
And there was in Batman, there's enough villains for you to really like
just focus in on that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you don't really have to go much further. So let me see powers and abilities for Maxima. Let's see. She is of the Blood Royale of the Almeric. So let's see. She commands a vast array of immense psychic powers that come from selective breeding, my friend.
Mm.
Selective breeding and years of gene therapy, which she can utilize in a variety of ways. In her first face to face encounter with Superman, she displayed a high level of psychic powers, such that she had almost seemingly hypnotic mind control over him. Close, not necessarily, but close. Maxima can use her powers to give herself superhuman strength, enough to let's see, prove an effective opponent in hand-to-hand combat with. Oh yeah, I don't want to go too far here. Yeah, well, there's some spoilers. Some
Yeah,
spoilers in reading this.
don't get any of that.
But
Yeah.
again, she's from another planet, and comes here kind of looking for a mate. Yeah, so she's in
Okay.
there close with Superman.
Well, okay, so this is I really like this too, where they this is like in the I guess whatever issue it is where Superman and Doomsday start fighting. So Superman shows up and he's a little overconfident here too. He's like, "What'd
Yeah,
you call him, Booster?" "Oh yeah, Doomsday." Superman stands up like, "All right, I'm just gonna take this punch." Boom.
I mean,
Like
okay. Here's one thing. Go back to the punch. Go back to the punch. He took that.
he
He
takes it.
did. He did take that. I want to give
He
him credit
takes
for
it
that.
straight up.
But then he gets another kick to the gut that he wasn't like a fast because he's like he's so
Right.
fast. Couldn't believe he's as fast as the Flash. They say. I mean, he's not necessarily, but he is fast. And oh God, just kicks the crap out of Superman right there. And that's the first moment where he's like, okay, I'm dealing with.
Because I mean, if anybody shows up and does this much damage to Superman, first of all, either something's really special about him or they're a Kryptonian, which is ultimately the case.
Right.
But I mean, it's like there's not many people that could even like hit Superman hard enough in the first place to be able to cause him to do anything.
No,
Move.
no, exactly. It's like, yeah. So Booster's got to get the heck out of the way there because he's Superman's, flying back. Wrecks this house, which this becomes kind of
It's like a
a
little
plot
mini
point.
story. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
plot point. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy was like, first of all, this kid is an absolute jerk
He
to his
is.
mother. I mean, as a joke. Had this whole conversation about her father leaving and everything. It makes her cry. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm really tired of that baby being the only one around here. I mean, dad is, it's like, geez, man, dad's always got new soda for me at my apartment. Whoa. I mean,
Soda
this
pop.
this this is dealing with some like serious issues, divorce and
Yeah, all over a can of soda. All over a can of
right.
soda. You keep the fridge
No
stocked.
wonder dad left and wants a divorce. I mean, geez, man,
He
that's
didn't keep
like
enough soda in the fridge. It's ridiculous. It's actually
that's
it's sort of over the top.
I mean,
Uh,
that's real mean. But then here you go, ice right into the flour.
right, right. Yep. And so it's this house that will get like wrecked, and the little child, the mother, and this boy is like kind of wanting Superman to come back and help. I think a gas line explodes or something. Somehow their fire gets caught to the entire house.
Right.
But
It's
oh
pretty
yeah, here we
sweet.
go.
And right
Here we
here,
go.
like this panel is sweet where they're all just blasting. I mean, you've got Booster Gold, Superman's heat vision,
Hmm.
like
Yep.
Fire, and Guy Gardner's Green Lantern ring. I mean, everybody's all in there blasting Doomsday at once. But that's kind of Doomsday's thing, is he's built to just be this like ultimate being where I think Doomsday's whole deal is you can't kill him like the same way twice or something like that, where it's like he just like Once
Yeah.
he's taken damage from something, he like can no longer take damage from that.
Yeah.
I think at one point in the comics, like he even goes toe to toe with Darkseid. I gotta look that up, but I
Jesus.
remember seeing like an argument about that once.
I mean, yeah, he just sort of like takes on Superman as he's fighting him says something to the effect of like, he seems to be getting stronger. Like he's like, God, I hope he doesn't have the same energy reserves that I have, or this is going to be nuts. I see. I think Superman starts off fighting him thinking like, okay, he's tough. We're slugging it out here, but I know I have those energy reserves. And he realizes, wait a second, Doomsday is not showing any signs of tiring or cracking or whatever. So, yeah, that's really an issue. And like you said, Matt, they're blasting here. I don't know what the heck Bloodwind is blasting him with. I read it's sort of like a gemstone of some kind that's been passed down, so I'll have to look into that a bit more. But yeah, and then in his origin, I mean, I think Doomsday as like an infant is a clone of himself or whatever, like this baby is sent out numerous times into the wild and is killed by various animals, or every time it like evolves or learns or something like that. So
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm just doing some quick research here. Yeah, because no, that's right. That's what I thought. And we're not there yet, but in the 5th volume, Superman Doomsday, which is like their rematch,
yeah,
Superman or Doomsday does. He fights Darkseid.
wow.
And straight up tanks his he takes his beam. His like Omega beam. That's supposed to be like the most powerful thing there is.
Okay. Oh
How do you
wow.
beat him? How do you beat this guy?
Yeah, they just brought a juggernaut in here and said we're gonna let him run wild, and he
Yeah.
does. He really does. So wow. Okay.
And I do
Um.
love that his suit is getting more and more ripped,
Yeah.
sort of like along the way, and then you get to see like, oh wow, he's this like monster thing under here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because at first he's just a weird guy in this suit, and that's actually an interesting way to have him almost evolve and have all of his like bones or whatever start jutting out, and just he's a weird looking villain.
And he gets evolved. He looks like he evolves more and becomes more menacing. Now, I did actually kind of like the way they did him in Batman versus Superman. I thought it was kind of cool,
Oh
where
yeah.
they take Zod and then they morph him, but then like he starts getting like more and more stronger, like Wonder Woman, and Batman, and everyone's like Superman. He tanks a nuke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he sure takes a nuke.
Yeah. Crazy. They cannot be stopped. They did a great job. You're right. Yeah, and that death of Superman and that is just brutal. That was
Right.
a brutal.
Now there's a question, and I mean I'll have to do the research here. Does kryptonite affect him? I almost feel like it doesn't.
Yeah, so I think because the film that I watched, it was like, well, no, that wasn't. I'm sorry, that's Bizarro. Like after Superman comes back and wears the black suit, he takes the kryptonite cannon, and he goes after kind of his Bizarro clone in that one. So
Right.
yeah, he just fights it out. He just takes him way up in the atmosphere and just pounds him into
At,
the ground.
so at one point, kryptonite has been. This is from just searches here, Reddit and stuff like that. It says he's definitely evolved past that. And Doomsday, in short, Doomsday is a lab experiment and has died countless number of times. Lots of people are saying he's not. He is not vulnerable to kryptonite. So I mean, they do that in the movie because it's a movie and you can only have people around, like once or twice or whatever, which I actually liked. And I actually liked the nuking of him only because that comes from the Dark Knight Returns comic, which is what it's like. That movie is like sort of like the Dark Knight Returns meets this story, which is the death and death of Superman.
Yeah, 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 for sure. But hey, before I forget to mention this legendary fight took place in Ohio. Like,
Yeah, let's go.
holy Kirby County, like
Let's
there's a
go.
couple of different like on Main Street. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Jeezy cow."
Is that an actual county in Ohio? I think
I
it
don't
is.
think so, but it does seem to move across different states. But at one point they say it's Ohio, and I was like
Yeah, it
multiple
is.
times.
Kirby County, Ohio.
Shut
Oh no,
up! Are you serious?
No, it's not a county, but there is a Kirby, Ohio.
Well, there
It's
you go.
it's 70 acres, Eds. It's like the size of Bangs, Ohio,
Uh,
whereas it's from.
oh God, small
It's
little place.
yeah, it's like up by Upper Sandusky
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah,
Findlay. It's kind of like right in Lima. It's like right in Bucyrus. It's kind of like right in the middle of all that. Nothing there. One of those little, Bangs, Brandon, Ohio. Look it up.
yeah.
If you're
All
driving
right.
if you're driving and you blink, you've missed it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, you got to think. Superman was created in Cleveland, Ohio, so makes a lot of sense
yeah.
that it'd be Ohio references. I love it.
Yeah, I will say. So I'm just gonna show some more panels here. The fighting in this, which by the way, this is a lot of action, and it's really just like the entire. I mean, for almost this entire thing, which is however many comics, however many standalone comics it would have been. So much of it is just like, man, this guy's strong. I mean, that's really what they say quite a bit in this
Hmm.
whole deal.
Right. Yep. Well, yeah, to the point where I think Supergirl is even like, should I do something?
Hmm.
Right. She's sitting there on Lex Jr. and thinks, all right, it's time for me to step
Right.
in. And
Well, once the fight, because the fight moves obviously from Ohio to Metropolis.
yeah, so yeah, you're right, right. They're getting closer and closer and closer because at first it's like Lex I think says no, it's good. There's no need to kind of rush off or whatever. This is Superman's problem, and Metropolis needs Supergirl there still. Air quote Supergirl. Um,
Yeah, and it's so yeah. What's the deal? You had looked this up because I was like, have you got to the part where she fights Supergirl yet? Because I was like, because that fight is ridiculous, and literally she flies in, and we'll get to it. And she gets decked. I mean, once, and she's like done.
right, right. So yeah, once. Do you have that up there where her face just melts off or whatever? You can
No,
find
not
that.
yet. Not yet.
She's a protoplasmic being. Um, is what she is. Here, let me I can pull mine up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Boom. look at
Boom.
look at that. I mean, that is just yeah, I don't know. Her face is just popped off there, man. Like,
I guess, and I think there's something up with the Lex Luthor that we see is also like Lex Luthor the second, so it's like
right.
it's a different, yeah.
Yeah, finally, she decides that she can't let Superman fight Doomsday alone. She flies in to his defense with Lex's permission. Get ready for some action. Boom, we get the face punch. And then actually, there isn't much action. Supergirl flies out into battle and is dispatched with one left hook. And that has to
Yeah.
be one of the more jarring panels I have ever seen. Remember, she's a protoplasmic being. So this punch is so great, it disrupts her ability to hold her shape. All right. Yeah. And there we go. Played with that power, having Supergirl slash Matrix's eyes literally pop out of her face. So again,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that wasn't really this is a fraud.
Supergirl.
Yeah, it's a total
Yeah.
fraud. So that's pretty because I was like, is she dead? I mean, she's got to be dead after that punch. And I was like, that no, not even her.
I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, just
So
destroys her.
knock those eyes right out. I mean, could not keep form. I mean, you just go from, hey, what's up, Supergirl, to like, boom.
Mm.
Unbelievable.
All
So
right,
yeah,
I got a panel I'm going to share here. So the fight, as we said, it moves to Metropolis, and this is where things start to get like real serious and real, I guess,
yeah.
is the minute you start seeing Jonathan and Martha Kent watching the fight
Oh
like on TV.
yeah,
And actually one of like, because it ends up, and we'll get there, but as you get closer to the eventual death, by the way, this panel is awesome where it's like here they are watching Superman, here he is struggling, his cape's being ripped, and it's just
right.
so cool, and he's got like like he's dirty and it's ripped, such a cool panel. But Clark is our boy, but to the world he's Superman. And so it's like this deal where this is like kind of like going on in the background and they keep like flashing back to it. It's almost like you get a tiny little panel a page, and then at the end you get one full panel as it's like, here's what the world is seeing, here's what they're seeing.
Right.
And then, it's because they have to, they're the ones that have to deal with the ramifications, the fact that it's their son. It's not like to the world he's Superman, but he's just little Clark to us.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. Like the news is keeping up on stuff. That's how Lex and Supergirl were seeing it. As you said, Martha Kent is looking in on this. Lois actually interrupts whatever Jimmy Olsen was doing, and they go get in their copters and start heading out to try and cover it. They really just get in the way, honestly.
They do.
So yeah, there's that. But yeah, the fight just goes on and on and on. Lots of other individuals try to step in and do some,
this panel. I love this panel too, where it's just like they're just going blow to blow. There's energy, all this stuff going on the entire time.
Look at his face. Look at his face there.
So I don't think, other than Zod, there's not many people that can push Superman to a limit like this. And then here we go. God, the death of Superman. And it's like, look how long this fight's been going on too. Like,
well, okay.
It's now like dark outside.
Right, but you look at this. You look at how he's got him in a headlock, and look at how his jaw bones are like going into Superman's like, his bicep.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
They're just going back and forth. Seems like Doomsday's gonna win.
Right.
Lois and everybody steps in.
And here we go. That's right here.
Right.
It's over, man.
It's over. He knows. I think he knows.
Right. I'll always love you. Always. Good.
This panel, I love this one too. But get this. He flies right into him, hits him. They're still just laying into each other, but you can tell it's
right.
Like this one right here too is pretty sweet.
And Lois is trying to intervene there. Lois is actually trying, like, he's gonna die. Whatever it takes, I got to do something, even though she knows that even
they do that.
Yeah,
you need to watch the Death of Superman, the thing, because the way they do it, and that's like, it's really, really, really good.
Okay.
I don't with that. I mean, obviously, it's mostly the same story, but she's dating Clark, but she doesn't. So Lois is dating Clark because it's also like a new 52 sort of spin on that whole like arc,
right?
Because it gets kicked off by Flashpoint is the first movie in that thing, and then they sort of go through a lot of these stories. But Lois is dating Clark, but she does not know that Clark is Superman, like at first, and then in the middle he tells her, like right before Doomsday shows up and everything. And so like she's watching like Clark get wrecked, and at one point she says, like the way it's done so good. She says to Clark, she's like, Clark, you need to call in the cavalry. And he's like beaten up and like bloody, and like you can tell he's like probably gonna die soon. He's like, I am the cavalry. And it's like,
yeah.
And so so like Clark is on the ground and she like throws a rock at Doomsday. Wow. Just to she's like crying, and just to be like, if I can buy him a second, like it's worth it. Literally, she's willing to sacrifice herself, just so Clark can get another second. It's so good. So good.
So what's cool about that, and you just mentioned that's after Flashpoint. Like prior to that, the opposite is true in the movie that I watched, where Superman,
Doomsday.
Yeah. Where Lois is actually dating Superman.
But doesn't know he's Clark.
Doesn't know he's Clark. Is she keeps asking, "What's your secret identity?" Blah blah. And it's really just. And then she goes back to the office. And she keeps realizing Clark is gone, and she figures out, okay,
she figures it out.
Yeah,
I know. It's kind of the thing. It's kind of the thing with Superman is it's always like the most interesting Superman stories are when you like tweak the formula like a little bit. Like it's almost like I don't even know what the original formula is anymore. You know what I mean? Right. It's like what is the original formula? Because like. When I was watching it with Teresa, she's like, wait, I thought Jonathan was supposed to be dead. And I was like, well, not always. That was
not all the time.
Not all the time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because in the Adventures of Lois and Clark, he's not dead either.
He's not. No, he's not. And then in this, he's still around much later in Smallville and in Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Right. Yeah. Jonathan Kent. That's sort of what propelled. God. Can we just
And
for
then
one
and
second?
super in the Superman movies, I
Yeah.
don't think we know, do we? It's like just not it's never really shown.
No, yeah, it's definitely his father's, dead in those, but I wanna mention in Man of Steel, like, that whole Jonathan Kent moment, it's like, this man
Oof.
had the power to save to do anything, but he
Yeah.
he he listened to his father, "Stop." He said, "No, not now." Like, it's just like, it hurts a little bit, it's like
Right.
his father dies in that tornado.
I know. But is he as much as I love Kevin Costner as
Yeah,
Jonathan Kent? I don't know, man. Smallville's Jonathan Kent might be better.
I know, I think so too.
What's his?
I
I always forget his name. He's
Is it
Bo
John
Duke and the
John
Dukes of
Snyder?
Hazard. John, yeah, Snyder. Yeah, he's in the Dukes of Hazard.
Yeah,
Yeah, John Snyder. I don't know, man. He's really good as
real
Jonathan
good.
Kent.
He's really good.
Really good.
I love just a pitch to Smallville. They bring back so many superheroes, or people who
Oh
were
yeah.
in Superman movies or productions. It's crazy. Christopher Reeve.
Oh, everybody,
Um,
everybody that was involved because Annette O'Toole was Lana
right.
in Superman 3,
3. Yep.
and then the girl who ends up playing oh
Oh, the
god,
second
what's his name? What's Superman's mom's
Martha.
Sarah, no, Sarah, his Kryptonian mother
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay.
is played by the woman who played Supergirl in the Supergirl movie.
Wow. Wow.
I know.
That's
There's
well,
so many
you remember the Lois
throwbacks.
Lane that they get? So our current Lois Lane is in like episode 2 of Smallville. She's the girl that
Yes,
eats like
Amy Adams.
Amy
Yeah.
Adams. Yeah. So crazy.
So it's so ridiculous. Well, so many characters that are in that jump over because Lionel Luthor is in Batman. I totally so I knew he's in Shazam, the new Shazam movie. He's like the villain's like dad that's a jerk, and then he ends up killing him.
Okay.
But he is also in Batman and Robin. He is like he's Poison Ivy's like, before she turns into Poison Ivy,
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
this like jerk guy that runs this laboratory that she's at.
Oh
He's like
god.
he's in all sorts of projects, man.
I
And
love
then
that.
Tom Welling's obviously been in stuff, and Michael
Yeah.
Rosenbaum
Right.
voiced the Flash for years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. See, and that's where I think it's like really cool. If they want to get into this multiverse stuff and just if so many people around who are still who would still be really
Right.
really cool to bring in.
Well, now that they brought Smallville back in, it's kind of like in Marvel how now that we've done the multiverse of madness, or we've opened the multiverse in
Right.
Spider-Man, doesn't this actually make Tobey Maguire like the first MCU hero? I mean, because now
Yeah.
his movies are part of. I mean,
Yeah.
so Tobey Maguire should be calling up Robert Downey Jr. saying, "This is my show."
It's my show.
Like this
Yeah,
is my show now,
I'm
man.
in charge.
Like I'm in charge.
Oh my
Kind
god.
of like Tom Welling should be like, "I'm pretty sure it's the Smallville verse." That's
Eh,
what you mean,
that's right. That's right. And actually, I heard a rumor that he and Robert Pattinson are good friends,
friends. Yeah.
and he wouldn't mind if old Tom Welling came and was
Oh,
even
I
like
love it.
an older Superman or something, just whatever.
I'd be down. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're. I hope they. It's almost like I feel like what they should do is they should do 4 movies because they should do 3 and let it be its own Batman thing, but then have a 4th. I guess there's a deleted scene where they say it's like you can see kids running around in Wonder Woman and Superman costumes, so that would imply obviously that they're
Right.
real
No.
in that
Yeah.
universe.
Okay.
Okay, so the fight continues on. They're just going. And I want to get to the one panel.
Oh,
Um, ugh,
that's it. That's it.
this one right here
Oh god.
is they're watching, like you see the camera, right? And it's like everyone's watching, realizing like, oh my god, this is like what's actually happening. And then here you go, Martha and Jonathan Kent watching as Superman lays on the ground. Everyone's sort of standing there. You got to get that,
Right.
DC product placement right there,
Oh
right?
yeah, I got it. Yeah, yeah.
That
Jeez.
Warner Brothers product placement. And then here we go. This is kind of the iconic thing.
He's dead.
Dead.
Superman died. Yeah,
But
Lois is
so did
there.
Doomsday.
So did Doomsday. That's right. So, gosh, and everyone's Lois is crying, and it's just It's sad. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was reading this, I was just like, God, this is emotional. I was like, even
Yeah.
though I know what's gonna happen and I know where this is all heading, just watching them slug it out and the way they take their time and the different comic books or whatever, just really dragging it out and seeing the Justice League stand by and not being able to do anything. They're all getting to the hospital. You've got the Kents watching, Lois watching, Lex can't do anything. I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's just
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
So, and then boom, that picture right there too, with the cape in the background. So the next issue is Funeral for a Friend, and we'll get to see where was Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman at.
Yeah, where was everybody at?
Really could have used your help, guys.
Yeah. Where were they? I do want to know that.
So some cool stuff just from this, because it's been used in quite a bit of stuff. Apparently, I was doing some research that Warner Brothers wanted Henry Cavill to shave his chest for Man of Steel. Because remember, like the scene where he's on the oil rig and he's pushing it up,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
specifically said no. He said Superman has chest hair.
Yes, he does.
And it because of this shot right here.
Yeah. No, I always thought that was awesome. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
good for him. Good for him. See, he knows.
he does now.
Unfortunately, he's like, I have more to give to Superman. I don't know if they're gonna give him.
I don't know. It's hard to say right now because of the whole merger.
God, I wish they would, because he's
And
good.
Ezra Miller is messing the whole thing up.
I know he
Because
is.
it's like, what do we do? Do we reboot
That's driving me crazy.
Because they're doing apparently. So Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman, but Ben Affleck's apparently supposed to live, and then they're gonna do a. There is a Supergirl in it.
Okay.
And they have Batgirl, so it's like, who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah, they just got to get some people who are like, I don't know. I feel like Henry Cavill does. He's not in trouble, right? He's not, as far as I know,
No,
out and making headlines for stupid stuff. And he's actually, I don't know. Like I follow him
he's
on.
huge.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
follow him
witch.
on social.
He's the Witcher. He was in Mission Possible. I
Yeah,
mean, he's Superman.
yeah. It's just that's a guy. He's on that level now where it's like take advantage of him, because he's a good dude.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever seen this and I'll pull this up here.
I've only ever heard of it.
Okay, so apparently there was going to be a movie in the 90s that was sort of, I think Tim Burton was the one ultimately working on it. He did the Batman movies, the first two Batman movies,
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage was going to play Superman, and they were going to do this Death and Return, because it was hot at the time, because this like 93 is when this thing came out. So
Right.
yeah,
What happened?
just fell through, probably because the Joel Schumacher Batman movies freaking ruined everything, to be honest. The Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to see it. I mean, you get to see the Nicolas Cage in the suit. So there we go. As like, I cannot believe I'm seeing this right now.
I've never seen this. This is blowing my mind right now. What?
I'm down, man. I think it would have been sweet.
Looks good. Like, yeah, I'm locked in there. Can he still do it?
Oh, probably. I mean, Nicolas Cage is a bigger star now than he was then, but although he was hot. I mean, he was like red hot in the 90s.
Right.
Then he sort of went through the like, all right, Nicolas Cage is kind of a bad thing. But now he's back into like, a lot of people are like, he's doing really, really good movies, because he's been doing like more sort of serious, not like indie stuff, but like big mega blockbusters and stuff like that. But I'd be down. Give us Nick. I still want to see Nicolas Cage as Superman. Well, I'm there.
I'll tell you right now. I mean, now in my mind, he's canon. Okay. He's worn he's donned it. He's got the cape on. All right. He's got the Superman shield. So yeah, multiverse it up. Even though it was a movie never made, he was technically Superman. So bring him in.
Okay. Wow. So, well, hey, this is great. I loved Volume 1. Absolutely loved Volume 1.
Yeah, me too.
I'm at probably like a 9 out of 10, because I don't know that I can give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm definitely at a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, honestly, man, I'm excited. Once I got into past the first one, I got into the second comic in this
issue. Yeah, the issue.
Yeah, it really picks up. So if you're thinking about getting into it, I would say just give it some time. Really get into it, because, and then once you get into the fighting and stuff, I mean, you can kind of be selective more if you want in your panels. There's just a lot of visuals, a lot of cool things to see. And I would say I'm wanting to, as we get in the next one, I'm pumped for it now. Yeah.
There's also now, of course, we have the trade paperback version, and there's obviously tons of different versions of these as well. I think they're coming out with an omnibus version, but towards the end, it's kind of cool because you get like newspaper clippings, like the death of Superman and stuff like that,
Right.
which is really cool. This thing was like $13, I think, on Amazon. So
Matt, they've got Shaquille O'Neal in here, center for the Orlando Magic. The legend of Superman will always live on. Superman proudly wore the S on his chest, and in trying to follow in his footsteps, I proudly wear the S. Wow.
we will watch that movie at some point. We're
Yeah.
not there yet. Maybe when we finish this, we'll probably watch it, because I guess even though they go in a totally different direction, they don't even actually, I think, let Steel have like the S on his chest in that movie. But we will, because Steel is a character I always thought was awesome, because he's like this like metal Superman, so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will definitely get there. But yeah, I'm at a 9 out of 10 on this. I mean, it's pretty much all action. And again, Ez and I probably started at not the best place. I guess I don't, it's like, I don't know what came right before this that I guess we should have read, but that's where we're starting.
Yeah, and we're gonna march right through it, and then we can go back to all the crisis situation.
Yeah, we're gonna jump. We'll be jumping around. It's basically, we'll be jumping all around. So anyway, that is volume 1. I'm at a 9 out of 10. Loved it. I definitely recommend. I need to go watch Superman Doomsday, because I haven't done that, to see that's telling of it. But I'm a big supporter of Batman vs Superman, and I think that the animated version is really, really, really good. And then there's a follow-up. There's a direct follow-up to Reign of Superman, which sort of, I think, finishes out the whole rest of the thing.
So that's the one you watched, was Batman versus Superman, the animated, or
no. Oh. Batman vs Superman is the live-action movie we all saw.
Yeah. Okay.
On HBO Max, it's The Death of Superman.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, and that's after Flashpoint.
Yeah, it's part of the, because that like 14 movie run. Yeah. Although I don't think you, having watched it, I think you could there's really not much that I think would need to know in any of the movies that take place like before it. Like I stepped right into it. I have seen all of the Batman ones in it.
Yeah.
But I think like you're fine. There's also some pretty good humor in it too. Like there's a part where they're having a Justice League meeting, and like trying to like plan out like, all right, what are we gonna do? Because the whole deal is like Superman's trying to figure out how to tell Lois he's Superman.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's this really funny scene where Batman says like, oh, I can't come to the Justice League meeting next week because I have to take Damian, his son, Damian Wayne Robin, to he's like, I have to meet with the headmaster at his school. And so the Flash like stands up and he's like, hold on a second. He's like, is Batman have a parent teacher conference? And so like, anyway, the Flash starts making fun of him. He's like, what? He's like, please tell me you're on like, like whatever. And Batman just like stares at him. And it's like so ridiculous because he's like, never mind. My bad.
My bad. Yeah.
It's like so ridiculous. But then the Flash says he can't come because he's getting married, and then Superman asks him, and he's like, well, how do you tell him? How do you worry about your secret identity? Because that's kind of the whole deal. It's then he tells Lois that he's Superman.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
But
yeah.
It's good.
It's
a good version. Yeah. It's only an hour. It's like an hour and like 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So
yeah. Okay.
Not long.
Cool. Down.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back with plenty more stuff. Our next comic dive through again will be volume 2 for this, which is Superman Funeral for a Friend. It's a little bit longer, but we will get to see exactly what's going on, and then we'll sound a little less like news. But guys, leave us a comment.
Yeah,
and tell us comic recommendations, all this other stuff. You guys know a lot more than we do. We're
give us those resources.
Beginners. Right.
Yeah. What's a good resource for us? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm Matt. He is Ez. We will see you guys next time, and have a great rest of your day.